Hello YouTube, this is Insane Monster, and this is the second part of What If Asta Had Truth-Seeking Orbs. Now, before we begin, I'd like to clarify a few things that may have confused some of you in before, that I didn't quite elaborate on. Now, first off, to make the Asta capable of using Truth-Seeking Orbs in the Black Clover universe, the Sage of Six Paths had to alter the ability slightly for it to work, which caused the side effect of them being lethal or non-lethal upon contact, depending on Asta's intent when using them. So even if they were originally meant to outright destroy anything that didn't fit some criteria like they did in Naruto, that is not the case now. As for Asta using the orbs in order to fly by standing on one of them, he is doing this due to the fact that he's using common knowledge of how to fly in Black Clover, because they gotta fly on something, whether it be a spell or a broom. Pretty common for them, just flying using levitating orbs that aren't even touching them. That isn't common, that's not a common thing in their world, so I would imagine Asta wouldn't think of it. And there's no one there to teach them otherwise, so with that said, here is something that could help support my channel and such. If you want any of what you see in it, go to the description below and there will be a link to Beautiful Halo. See you later. Now then, with that out of the way, let's get back to the what if. Now then, when last time Asta saved and helped get his grimoire and such, and after that he did go train with the sword magic mage, or the magic sword wielding mage guy from the Diamond Kingdom, and helped defend him against the Diamond Kingdom mages that were coming after him. Though he was able to fend them off better in this version. Now, when he goes and meets up with Yuno to leave for the Magic Knight exam, this time he uses one of the truth-seeking orbs, flattening it so that they can ride it all the way to the capital. Once they get there, they do sign up like in canon, and similar to in canon, Asta is surrounded by anti-magic birds. Or I guess anti-birds, but is still like completely left alone by them. Asta does still bump into Yami and has his head grabbed, though this time he makes a truth-seeking orb and controls it to form around Yami with some spikes, telling Yami to let me go, man. Yami smirks and lets him go, stating, "You got guts, kid." As Finro tells them that he should stop messing with the examinees and that they need to hurry. Though as they left, Yami was thinking, the hell was that? As he looks back at Asta, thinking to himself, I didn't sense any mana coming from that kid. But that ability, not to mention his ki, so odd. But so powerful too. Never felt anything like that. Could be interesting. Now then, as for the Magic Knight exams, Asta, instead of using the broom, uses one of the truth-seeking orbs to ride, like I said before, he's using the common sense of flying in Black Clover. As for the other ones, he uses the orbs for those too, changing the orb into a staff similar to the one that you see Madara holding, or like you know. Uh, then there's the marksmanship, which he just uses the orb to full on smash some targets into bits. Next would be the combat portion. Unlike in canon, Seke is wary of this guy. There are some other people who can tell Asta has no magic, including the Magic Knight captains, but is still doing pretty good. But one noble does challenge him, thinking that he got this. This noble uses plant magic. Now, when the match between them starts, as a reminder, Yuno's fight goes same as in canon. So, as Asta's match begins, the plant mage summons a plant cannon similar to Mimosa's one, which I would imagine something like that isn't too uncommon for plant mages. So, yeah, as he fires, Asta forms a wall using the or truth-seeking orbs. Though unlike normal, Asta sees that there's cracks forming in it. This takes him off guard, so he instantly pulls the sword from his grimoire and goes to block on instinct, not knowing what to do in this scenario, considering his orbs had never been cracked before by anybody else's magic. As the orb went, as the orbs that were blocking the attack broke through, it hit the flat of the anti-magic blade, sending it back, which shocked the noble. Though he was able to use plants to make a wall in order to stop the attack. This shocked the noble as well as the Magic Knight captains, some of them thinking that that wall was supposed to collapse in order to trick the noble whenever Asta reflected his attack. This made the noble kid just pissed, trying to go straight for Asta in an all-out assault with plant vines. Though Asta hopped on one of the flattened orbs and started riding, and using his anti-magic sword to cut them. Though he learned quickly as some of the vines chipped the plate that he was riding on, he thinks that his orbs must have a weakness to plant magic. He's never encountered this before, so he never knew it. If you're wondering why this has happened with plant magic, if you remember correctly, these orbs have a weakness against nature energy chakra in Naruto. So I would imagine like magic types with something similar like plant magic would also have a similar effect, being able to actually cause damage to the truth-seeking orbs. As Asta was able to get down, he sent one of the orbs to bind the mage's hands, which did go well as he tried to use his plant magic to break free, which was causing some cracks, but unfortunately, Asta was already in too close and slamming the sword right down onto him, cracking the floor. This got everybody's attention for a commoner to beat a noble like that. So we get to the Magic Knight selection part of the exam, which is where a number of captains do raise their hands, like Flagoleon, who became interested in his power. Same thing with Captain Jack the Ripper and Rill from the Aquadeers, as well as obviously Yami. Though, as Asta was looking through them, remember Asta can sense, I guess you could say, a kind of weak sense of ki that isn't meant for like feeling where people are going to attack or where they are, but he can kind of feel something uh that's different with the captain of the Black Bulls being, and decides to go with them when questioned about this by Captain Flagolion, remarking that, do you know about the squad that you're choosing? Also just scratches his head saying, nope, not really, but I have a good feeling about his squad, so I'm gonna go with my gut on this. Which causes some of the captains to full on face palm, like Captain Jack just saying, really? Oh, what a waste. He would have been so much fun to cut up. With Yami yelling, saying, yeah! Or at least he did in his mind as he just laughed. Because he does have a habit of keeping this cool pretty well. Though I would imagine that in his head, he's just yelling that he got someone so interesting into the Black Bulls. So, before they leave, Asta was running through some things in his head, wondering why exactly all the other kinds of magic didn't leave a scratch on his on the truth seeking orbs, but plant magic did. As he just sighs, thinking that he should probably just be more careful around plant mages in the future. Hopefully there aren't any other types of magic that could cause harm like that. Otherwise I'm might be in some trouble. And then his mind switched over to his grimoire, thinking that, man, not to mention I didn't even know that my sword could reflect magic using the flat of the blade. That's just awesome. As he goes meeting up with Yami and Finro and such, they go to the Black Bull's hideout, like usual. And as they get there, and Asta opens the door, he sees amongst the craziness of the Black Bulls, especially with Magna and Luck just fighting each other. Though, unlike in canon, when Magna's fireball goes directly toward Asta, he uses a orb to form a shield blocking it, keeping it from the building from being damaged. Though Yami still breaks down the wall, telling everybody to shut up, as introductions are then made between Asta and the Black Bulls. After that, like in canon, Magnus still challenges Asta to do his baptism. Once that happens, Asta is then subjected to the usual, with the physical testing, even full on headbutting a frickin' rock, and then going to the combat portion of it. Unlike in canon, Asta just uses an orb and spreads it to create a shield blocking all of his attacks. Which Asta begins to think, okay, it's holding up just like normal. So it is, so these things are weak to plant magic. Well, that's at least good to know. After that, Magna charges up his big fireball, outwardly challenging Asta to just stop hiding behind the shield and actually do something. Of course, this kind of provokes Asta to go ahead and use his anti-magic sword, pulling back his orbs. As he prepares, Magna full on swings, full just launching the biggest fireball he can make with as much mana he can do without, forcing him to just run out. though it is a bit more powerful than in canon. Though this time around, Asta knows what the flat of his blade can do at this point, and sends the attack directly back at Magna. Of course, Magna is still pumped up about it, with all the other Black Bulls shocked by that sword's capabilities, as Magna congratulates him on beating it, and with Asa remarking that thanks, but he doesn't have any magic. This does surprise Magna, but he just smirks, saying, "Well, that's just even more impressive. You're incredible, kid." So, after everyone cheers him on for congratulating and beating Magna's baptism and such, he gets his Black Bull's robe and gets the Black Bull's insignia on his headband. But this time around, when they go to leave, Noelle still sees them and everything, as he just looks down from a higher point of the Black Bull's hideout. Though, unlike Magna showing him where he'll be staying, it's Yami. While he's doing this, he asks Asta about those orbs, asking what exactly are those things. You can tell that he doesn't have any magic, but his key is just something that he's never felt before. And he states that he figures that it has to have that the two are most likely connected. Asta, not sure how to answer this, just goes ahead and answers the way he thinks would be best. As he states he met somebody who called themselves the Sage of Six Paths. He had those kinds of orbs floating around him too. And not only that, he offered the same ability to him, though it felt like a dream, as he remarks that they were in some kind of area that didn't really have any features to it, other than it looked like they were standing on some kind of water floor. This surprises Yami, not knowing what to make of it, as Asa goes on, stating that although I don't really think it was a dream, considering when I woke up, I was able to make these things. As he creates an orb and then grips it, creating the same staff that the Sage of Six Paths was able to use. As he remarks that the man who said that he was going to give him this ability had a staff similar to this, with one staff having the same kind of arc thing on one end, with the other one having a full circle end with multiple rings on it. Yami's surprised by this, wondering what kind of power can just be given like that isn't, let alone one that isn't even magic. Not to mention that sword that seems to be able to both destroy and reflect magic. So he's just gonna leave it alone, since either way he gets a new powerful member of his squad, as he just shows him to where he'll be. Asa's excited to get his new room and starts cleaning. Yami yells at him, stating, "Just remember not to make too much noise, otherwise I'll have to kill you." Freaking Asa out a little bit, saying, "Okay." After Yami leaves, Asa relaxes and says, "Jeez, that guy needs to really chill," as he covers his mouth, praying that Yami didn't hear him just say that. So after that, he goes to bed, with Nero, like in canon, sleeping on the windowsill. Though this time, when he sleeps, he's then met with the same man that gave him this ability like before. As Asa remarks, "Old man, you again. What exactly do you need? Is something wrong?" He just smirks, saying, Looks like you did good, and you achieved a big step in your goal. That's to become the Wizard King, isn't it? No, I don't quite get it. I do understand a similar system, but either way, you seem to be using the orbs quite well, though it seems you might be missing some gaps in your full knowledge of how they're supposed to be used, as well as their weakness. This causes Asa to think, and as he states, oh yeah, these things, they just started breaking whenever they got hit with some plant magic. The sage kind of chuckled a little bit and stated, of course, the orbs are actually very vulnerable when it comes to something with nature energy in it. Asta remarks, nature energy? Well, I guess if it's plant magic, that's basically nature in a nutshell, right? He does shake his head in yes, but then tells Asta that, though that is not the only thing. Back where I am from, there is something called sage mode, where the person takes nature energy into their body and would be able to actually cause harm and damage to the orbs. Asta scratches his head again, remarking, sage mode? What exactly is that? Does it have to do with more plants? The sage remarks that no, it doesn't. In fact, this was taught to people by a form of sentient animals that, by what you know, are very unusual. So it's more like a fauna portion. Obviously, Asta is not smart enough to know what that means, as he says, fauna? The sage shook his head yes, as he began to explain. As fauna is remnants of animals, flora is plant life and such. So it is possible that those with magic that are under those two categories would most likely have the ability to cause harm to the orc, meaning it makes them less of a defensive option in that case. As Asa sighs, remarking, that would have been nice to know beforehand. As the sage just laughs, stating, well, I thought things would be a little bit better, though it looks like the adjustments I had to make for the orbs went well, as he states that he had to do this in order to allow Asta the capability of using them. Also telling Asta that if he means to kill somebody, then those orbs will respond and cause incredible harm, as he shows what could happen if somebody gets hit dead on with one of those orbs. Just a small example of somebody getting hit with one and then ending up with a really big hole in their chest, remarking that he has to be very careful about his will and how he uses them if he doesn't want to actually kill anybody. Asta understands, saying, alright, I can get that. Is there anything else? The sage stated, yes, you've actually been using them wrong when you fly. You don't need to actually stand on them. You can just float with them. As Asta remarked, wait, but that doesn't make sense. I mean, aren't when people fly, doesn't it have to be on a broom or ride a spell or something? As the sage stated, normally, yes, though keep in mind that the power I give you isn't actually magic, so it runs by different rules. Do you understand? Asta scratches his head, stating, yeah, I guess I do, though I don't actually have to stand on it. So what? I just make the orbs and float? Is that how it works? Do they need to be touching me? As the stage remarked, no, not at all. They don't need to touch you at all. They just need to be summoned. And that should just do fine. Asta remarks, okay, is there anything else? He thinks for a moment and says, maybe, maybe not, though perhaps I should come in your dreams more often to teach you how to use powers that you are now capable of learning besides using these orbs. Though, I'll leave that for another time. The time we spent here has moved normally for you, at least in what you would call a dream. Though outside, where your body actually is, it's moving quite faster than what you realize. So you should probably wake up. As Asta goes to say wait, he ends up just waking up with his hand sticking out. As he just sighs, saying, what exactly is he going to teach me? And as he gets up out of bed and goes to walk out the door, he runs into the pillar. Next is met by Magna, who explains that the base is able to shift around as kind of a security measure, which Ozzy does find interesting, though is now being led on a tour by Magna across the Black Bull's hideout. Of course, this does still lead to him meeting Noelle, and things do still happen the same as in canon. As for the chores, he's able to do them a lot easier using the orbs to grab things to help him out in using them to help clean. And after that, he goes walking around. As in canon, he does see Noelle practicing, and when Noelle notices him, she still freaks out, blasting directly at him. Though, like in canon, this still results in her magic running wild. As the Black Bulls rush to go see what's going on, they discuss about what to do about this. So Asta comes falling in, and Yami tells him to go deal with that. As Asta thinks, he remembers what the Shades told him. He forms the orbs around him, like behind him and such, as he then begins to float, thinking, huh, old man was right. I don't actually have to stand on them. As he goes flying, taking out his grimoire to use his sword, slicing clean through, placing it back in the grimoire quickly, then soaring down to catch Noelle, grabbing her basically princess style, as well, it's obvious that she is, a Clover Kingdom princess, but then gently flies down, placing her on the ground, as she then begins to get ready to be ridiculed for not being able to control her magic. Also remarks that she's incredible and that he wishes he had that kind of power, all that magic, as he remarks that he has none. With the Black Bulls chiming in that she actually belongs there and that they can help her out in controlling her magic. So after that moment, they question Asta about that power further, as Yami tells him that he'll explain everything as they go in to just get something to eat. So as they're walking, Noelle remembers how Asta caught her and is blushing, beet red, embarrassed. So this is where I'll be ending off this part. I do hope you enjoyed. Please remember to like, comment, and subscribe. Also remember that if you are a subscriber, make sure to hit the notification bell, setting it on all, so that you will know whenever I get a new video uploaded. So, do hope you enjoyed. Please remember to like, comment, and subscribe and all that. And hope to see you later. Now then, as for the poll for the next What If to have their video made, it is either what if Asta had Satan Gravity Ether Gear, or the what if or the other what if to vote for would be is what if Deku had Abyss Sansa's power. Now I know some of you might be kind of skeptical about having that what if, as well as what if Asta had Abyss Sans' power, but I'm doing a whole thing with that, kind of connecting them and such. So, yeah. Hope you enjoyed, and see you later.